The subject is in federal custody. As the sheriff mentioned, a long interview was conducted of the individual by the FBI and Broward Sheriff's Office, and he will be charged federally and most likely will have his initial appearance in Broward on Monday. Again, as I mentioned, with these types of incidents, as horrific they are, we are looking at all avenues. We have not ruled out terrorism, and we will be pursuing every angle to try to determine the motive behind this attack and any associates, any connections, communication, everything that you can imagine. I assure you we are pursuing every possible lead. The individual did walk into our Anchorage office in November. He came in and spoke with FBI agents. At that time, he clearly stated that he did not intend to harm anyone. However, his erratic behavior concerned FBI agents that were interviewing him, and they contacted local police and turned him over to the local police. He was taken into custody by the local police and transported to a medical facility for a mental health evaluation. We looked at his contacts, we did our interagency checks and everything, and at that point we closed our assessment.
Was there anything done to take away firearms? Did you guys know that he had firearms on him?
That answer, or that question, I really don't have the answers for. Again, it's very early in the investigation. We are working very closely with our Anchorage field office trying to determine his activities there, but I can't really tell you about his weapons there.
He voluntarily walked into the FBI office in Anchorage in November?
Yes, he voluntarily walked into our office. And he was interviewed by agents out of that office.
And how long was he in the mental health facility in Anchorage?
That information I don't have. Again, it's very early in the investigation, and that's something that we'll have to try to determine with our Anchorage field office. He was turned over to local custody, and it was the local custody that took him to the medical hospital for evaluation.
Is the FBI investigating a home in Anchorage? Are you guys looking into a house he may have lived at in Anchorage right now?
We're actually looking at several investigative leads, not only in Alaska, but in other states that we have determined that he's either traveled to or has connections there.
Was there a fight aboard one of the flights? Was there a fight aboard one of the flights that he took, or in baggage claim that may have set him off?
I'm not aware of any type of incident like that, but again, it is very early in the investigation. But at this point, we're unaware of an incident either on the flight or at baggage claim.
Is there any indication that he had become radicalized in any way? We know he mentioned some kind of hearing voices in his head or something like that to the FBI.
Again, it's very early in the investigation. As I mentioned, we're not ruling out anything. We're looking at every angle, including the terrorism angle, but it's going to take us some time to determine the true nature of the motivation of the individual.
Is he a U.S. veteran, and how old is he?
I believe he is 26 years old. He was in the U.S. military. We are currently reviewing his military records. I can tell you that he was in the military. I believe it was in the Army, but we haven't confirmed exactly his service.
What type of gun and how many shots fired?
What I can tell you at this point is that it was a semi-auto handgun, but I'm not prepared to release the type of handgun, and it's way too early in the investigation to tell you how many rounds were fired.